groundbreaker for all my soul music lovers. I am so beyond thrilled and excited, honored, blessed, and just overall euphoric to welcome to the show Ronnie Moss, one of the lead singers of the iconic soul group, The Spinners.
Hello, everyone.
I'm so excited to have you on the show, and just to dive into all the history and musical dynasty of the Spinners. So now, Ronnie, before you became a member of the Spinners, you grew up in Michigan, and music's been a part of your life, for since you were young, and you were in many groups before the Spinners. So you want to share with our audience a little bit about your pre-Spinners music life?
Well, coming out of high school, coming through high school, I always sang in a singing group, always. And I ended up going to recording school out of high school. And from that point, along the way, I became a percussionist. So I'm a drummer as well. And so I started playing jazz, uh, doing a lot of studio sessions, doing a lot of writing, releasing some of my own material. Um, and I ended up just working and working and working and recording and playing behind jazz artists. And I ended up, they called me to uh, try out for the Spinners, which I replaced Bobby Smith. Um, and when he passed away, that's when I became a member of the Spinners.
So now, what was the audition process? And it must have been, pretty daunting when you're coming into a group that is so huge. So what was that process like?
Well, it wasn't easy. I tell you, it was not easy. It was, uh, number one, the Spinners choreography was taught by great choreographer Charlie Atkins, which he taught uh, DOJs, uh, Temps, a lot of Motown groups and other groups he worked with, and he was very, very stern. And that came through Henry, which is the original, and he was stern. So he taught and taught, just took us, ran us over and over and over different things, because the routines, as you know, we do the same routines they did in the 70s. We do the same routine, and they are, we dance on stage for an hour and a half straight.
Wow.
And yeah, and he's very particular about that. Um,
So you got to practice until it's in your cellular DNA.
Yeah, you gotta. This, I had to. It took me probably 3 months to really um, own the choreography, because it was something that I had to live, drink, eat Spinners. I couldn't even watch TV. It was really, really, it was really rough. But it came through, and also the singing. Um, what made the Spinners so different was the harmonies that they did. They did a lot of great harmonies, um, and and then they ended up with uh, Atlantic Records.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Bell was really intrigued by the harmonies that they used, that the Spinners used.
So,
Um,
so now just
very, very important.
Just educating our listeners for a moment who might not know. Of course, the Spinners started out on Motown, and then Aretha Franklin actually encouraged them to move to Atlantic. But Tom Bell was the music producer and writer who took the Spinners to a whole nother level. Is iconic Philadelphia based music producer, really like along with Gamble and Huff, was one of the music producers in the 70s that based in Philadelphia that created the movement that we call Philadelphia soul. So, Tom Bell was just such a crucial part of not only the Spinner success, but really in the tapestry of soul music history.
Yeah, he and Linda Creed, they were two. They were two gifted writers.
Mhm.
And they did everybody from stylistics, and the list goes on and on. And everything they touched was gold. And that's what happened with the Spinners. It was a blessing.
Yes. Now, in the writing process, at that time, did the producers include the Spinners? Of course, going back before when you were with Motown, you have Stevie Wonder and Smokey Robinson and a lot of the house writers that, created the whole powerhouse Motown sound. Well, of course, Stevie Wonder also co-wrote some songs for the Spinners. Did the writers ever include any of the group in the creative process for when they were writing songs, or did they just basically go and do it on their own, present it to the group, and then they kind of voted if they wanted to do the songs or not? Like, how did that process work for you?
At Motown?
Yeah.
Or
Well, either Motown and Atlantic.
Well, they weren't. The Spinners wasn't with Motown real very long. Um, after It's a Shame, which Stevie Wonder wrote, it sat on the shelf for I don't know 2 years or almost 2 years. It sat on the shelf, and finally he pushed it, and the Spinners got it, and he wrote it for the Spinners. So after that is when they finally left Motown and went to Atlantic. And Atlantic is where all the magic.
Yeah, that took it to the whole next level.
Yeah, that was mainly even before Motown. They did That's What Girls Are Made For, and that wasn't with Motown. And so that's what that started.
And did Tom include the members of the group at all in the creative process of the songs? Like, did they get to give input, or was it that he'd finish them and present it, and then the group would decide if they wanted to do the songs or not?
Yeah, that's basically how it happened. Mm-hmm. A lot of times the Spinners would be on the road, and back then that's when they had Linda Creed and Tom Bell really working for doing the magic for them. They would come back and record the song and keep going, and that's basically how we did this last album. Mm-hmm. We were traveling a lot. We stopped in New York, started it, and we recorded some, went back on the road, and then we came back, made a circle, came back and finished the album on the road that way. So that's basically how they did it.
Mm-hmm. So now we're talking about the 60s and 70s soul groups and their influence. Not only did the Spinners and your groups of your peers influence music and generations of artists, but you also influence fashion. So, when we talk about this genre of music and time in history, I feel one of the things that really makes that musical movement is the fashion. The men were in beautiful suits and, kind of classic flamboyant costumes. And so when I previously interviewed Eric Nolan from the OJs, and we were talking about the fashion, he had reflected that he felt like, well, look, when I get dressed to go on stage and appearance, we're getting dressed and fresh and clean to also pay tribute to the importance of the music and the genres. So can you talk a bit about, the fashion of the stylistics, how you guys come up with your looks, and also each have your own individuality while being cohesive as a group, and just the importance of the fashion when you're performing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we have the last set of suits that we did. We had them custom made in LA, and I'm trying to think of our seamstress name, but he made a lot of he did a lot of stuff for the Temptations, Spinners, several single artists on Broadway. He did everything. And what Henry does is he'll call. So one time we went to LA, he took our measurement. So we never had to be measured much again. And he could call him and tell him, I want something with blue in it or red. And he would come up with an idea. He would send the idea to Henry, and we'll look it over. And Henry will make the decision, and he'll send us the suits. That's basically how we did it. And yes, we are known for our attire and suits and stuff like that, shoes and suits, and we still hold that to this day.
Yes, you do. So, I often wonder, of course, you were saying earlier that, when the Spinners get up on stage, you're performing and dancing the whole time for, an hour and a half. So wearing suits, I often wondered this, like with groups like you and the Temptations and Four Tops, who are very like dance centric. Suits don't always give you the best range of motion for like different types of choreography. So do the designers actually tailor the performance suits in a different way than your standard suit that gives you more movement when you're dancing and performing?
Some suits, like he'll consider certain materials for the summer, spring, and then fall and winter. He may do the regular suit, but kind of sort of. He makes them more in a uniform way, where we can move pretty good. But yes, he does that.
And so now recently, the Spinners just donated, very exciting for our music lovers who love history and getting close to the life of the artists that we love and the music that we grew up with. The Spinners recently donated a whole bunch of clothing and personal effects to the Motown Museum. So can you talk?
Yes, I was there.
I know you were. So can you talk? Can you talk a bit about some of the things that you donated that people, if they visit the museum, can see, and just the experience that was like coming full circle back to Motown now, for that.
Yes, I mean the suits are very neat. They're very, very nice suits. We the Spinners donated the uniforms, the suits, and the shoes, and we some of those items we weren't wearing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think they wore a bunch of them in the 70s and in the 80s. Maybe a few in the 90s, but they were very, very nice. If they could see them, I wish I could show you a picture of them, but they were very smooth, two-piece outfits. Some with the what do you call them? The frizzy shirts with the stuff that hangs over.
Oh yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah,
definitely different. Yeah, they're definitely different, but real nice, real nice, real nice.
Well, the 60s and 70s, especially like with men's suits and performance attire, I think was more of a risk-taking kind of avant-garde time in men's fashion than now.
Yeah, they were, yes, yeah, they were. They're definitely different, but they're not. Some of the suits, I mean, we can still actually wear now. Uh, they were definitely different styles, but you wouldn't see anybody in the audience with them on. I can tell you that.
Well, I think too, like things people don't necessarily think about unless you're, on the performer side. But a lot of times the artist will wear embellished and more flashy things. So that way the people who are, have the farther away seats can still see the performer. So it's not only about personal style and showmanship, but it's also that so your whole audience can get a glimpse of you no matter where you're sitting.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of different colors, bright colors, some settled. They're very nice. I hope everyone can make it to Motown and see the outfits as well. And I'm pretty sure some will be in the Hall of Fame as well.
I'm sure. Now that segues to our next topic. So the Spinners, of course, have been inducted into the Detroit Music Hall of Fame, and in 2023 is just so wonderful and amazing that the Spinners were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So how's it feel to have that behind your name? Pretty amazing.
Oh, it's a blessing, and I tell everybody we worked hard for it. As the Spinners before us, they set the tone. We took the baton and we worked and worked. Since I've been in there, we were nominated 3 times, and we finally got in. And I mean, the process was really, really. I mean, you had to always talk about it every show.
You're right.
And yeah, everybody had to vote, but it turned out to be a blessing. Sure did.
Now, Ronnie joined at the Spinners in 2013, but the Spinners have been together for over 60 years, just influencing generations of artists and bringing joy and happiness through their amazing music for decades. And of course, just making a comparison, Eric Nolan from the OJs, he was like kind of second generation OJs. After some members leave, they switch up. But when you're you're coming into a group that's been, part of musical history for decades. As you move through through things, do you feel, I would imagine, just a sense of responsibility to the legacy of the group, the music, its history, and its impact?
So you're saying this? How do I feel?
Like I'm saying, like, you know, when you're coming into an already established group that has such a powerful history, you know, does it give you a sense of that you're carrying on, like you said, grabbing the baton? Does it give you the feeling of that you have responsibility to carry on the legacy of the history of the group?
Yes, I mean it's definitely a responsibility on and off the stage, and because you represent you're representing like you said, a big history, a big group, and people look at you and they want you to when you're not carrying the baton all the time, it makes people wonder, well, what's wrong with this guy?
Right.
But I carry it all the time, all the time. When I'm on the plane, I'm at the airport. Um, I just try, if somebody knows who I am, they know, okay, he is representing the spinners, you know. Yeah, it's definitely a responsibility. Definitely.
Now, again, just circling back, it's just so amazing that you guys are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and so deserved. So, when you found out after many years of of trying to make it happen that you did get picked to be inducted, what was that feeling like? And just talk about just what it means to the group.
Oh wow, we were actually we performed the day before it was announced. We knew we were nominated, but we had to keep carry on and continue to perform out there. So when I got the text from our manager, it really hit me. Matter of fact, it brought tears to my eyes because I felt for the spinners that's no longer here. I felt for Henry, John, all the guys that kicked it off, and us as well, for the still carrying. Because there's a lot of times, the times that we weren't nominated, it just went by us. It was like, wow, here it's gone. It never, we never got, never was chosen. And I just felt like it was, just felt like it was, I felt it in my heart for Henry and all the other guys as well as us.
Yes. And it just must have been so amazing and surreal when you get up on the stage to accept the awards. And truly, I could really feel and see that all the other members in spirit would just be there standing with you. And I can truly understand and feel what you're saying, that, it's a win for you, but also the just heartfelt emotionality, knowing that you're walking in that for your brothers that aren't here anymore.
Yeah. Right. I'm hoping that we can be on stage. We are scheduled to work that day in November, and I don't know if we can get out of it, but at any rate, Henry will be there. Henry and John will be there. If we can't be there, they will be there. But hopefully that we can work it out and be there as well.
So now the ceremony is in November?
This is November 3rd, I think it is, in Brooklyn.
Oh my God. All right. So
yeah, that's the event. That is the ceremony.
Well, I would love to be there to support and to see.
Yeah.
and to see that match, well deserved magical moment happen for you.
Yes, 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 yes. It would
As-
be very beautiful.
Oh, so and now normally, I guess you might not know until closer, but normally I know they have for the inductees, they'll have a group of artists that'll do a performance and pay tribute
Right.
to the inductee. One, do you guys know who that's going to be? And two, do you have any input on who that will be?
No, I don't. I'm like you,
Yeah, you just kind of showed up
waiting
sick
to
and
hear.
waiting to see.
Yeah, we're waiting to hear all the particulars. Right.
Right. Well, no matter what, it's gonna be fantastic. Now, for our listeners who don't know, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, of course, is in Cleveland, Ohio, and they have a museum. So, if you're a music lover, it's definitely worth putting on your to-do list to check out the museum. So, they have lots of great artifacts from Michael Jackson, Madonna, Prince, and like costumes and things that they actually wore, and guitars. And,
Right.
it's just amazing that when the artists like yourselves are generous and donating, it really gives us who love the music just like feeling like you can kind of touch some of the magic, right? And
Right.
and
Right.
and be part of it.
Right. Right.
It's
It's a very nice place too. I've been there, and it's very very nice. A lot of, like you said, a lot of artifacts, uniforms, a lot of things that people get a chance to see. Um, Elvis, everybody
right.
get a chance to see all of that.
And I was really surprised, just on a side note, like when I went, this was years ago, when I visited the museum, but when they had the section for Michael Jackson and Madonna, and they actually had, their outfits and clothing, I couldn't get over just how tiny the clothes were. Like when you see, I couldn't believe it. Like, not being disrespectful, because I mean, I love Michael. I came up on the Jackson 5 and everything, but I was shocked when they had one of Madonna's bustiers, like from the borderline, like a virgin time period, and one of her pants. And then they had Michael Jackson. I remember it was that one outfit where he had black pants and the blue shirt with the white armband, and like one of his,
Yeah.
right, and his fedora. And I'm looking, I'm like, wow, their pants kind of look like around the same size. Like it's funny when you see some of the artifacts in person. Sometimes you realize, wow, they're shorter or smaller than I thought. Like when you see people on TV and whatnot, they always seem just bigger than life. I think also if you have like deep love for an artist, they just seem big and mythical and magical to you. So then you're like, oh hey, they're kind of just like me. You're like, oh, I didn't realize they were that short. I thought they were like 6 feet tall. Wow,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. True. True.
I so now talking about about the music, which is iconic hits. So I want to talk about some of my favorites, my core favorites. And
Okay.
all right, and we could kind of talk some behind the scenes stories, or just any way you want to like reflect on the songs. So one of my faves, could it be I'm falling in love? So I feel good anthem. So can you let's talk about that song, some reflections that you can share about could it be I'm falling in love?
Yeah, that's the first song we come out on, and that's one of my favorites too. Is just the thing to listen to the Spinner songs. They all sound new again. They never get old. The sound of them, and that could be is the first one we come out on. I really like. I kind of it kind of I guess, put a spark in me once we do that song.
Right?
Yeah.
And get some mojo going.
Yeah, it does. It does.
now, now, of course,
Yeah.
we touched on a little bit earlier. It's a Shame, which of course was co-written by Stevie Wonder. So let's talk about that song and some inside on It's a Shame.
Well, yeah, it's a shame. Is another one of my favorites. And when we did the Motown induction, uh, GC Cameron was there, and we sang it together. Which he was the one who actually did the lead on that song.
Mm-hmm.
On the record, and it was an honor to do that with him as well. But yeah, I love that song.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we were talking before our interview just how doo-wop and the 70s soul movement has influenced so many artists for generations. And it's funny if you're a music lover and you kind of after a while get your ear tuned. You when you're listening to songs, you'll notice recognizable bridges and parts that, oh wait, wasn't that in that song? Sometimes it takes you years. You'll randomly hear something and think, well, that was in this and this was in that. So for my 80s hip hop fans, just a throwback. So It's a Shame was covered by Moni Love. With a big hit, big hit with that. Oh yeah, yeah, that was a huge hit.
Yeah, we've had several artists to redo some of the songs.
So now another one of my favorite songs. Just it gets you moving and grooving. You can't sit still when the Rubber Band Man is playing.
Yeah, they wait on that song. That's the last song we do, and they love the rubber bands. How we get in the middle of the stage and create a big rubber band, and they really enjoy that song. That song is very. That was one of the biggest sellers, and that song is in several commercials, movies. It's everywhere.
Mm-hmm. And too, it's like I just had to refresh my memory. I mean, I know my top 6, 8 songs of yours that I just love and just are my happy spots that I go to. But as I was going through, there's just so many hits that you forget. Oh my God, that was a Spinner song too, and that was a Spinner song, and I forgot that was a Spinner song. Oh yeah, that one. Oh God, that one was so good. And then,
yeah, we can't do all the hits. We'll be on stage for
hours
doing all the hits. There's so many hits.
You're not gonna be like Taylor Swift now. She performs for 3.5 hours and does 44 songs. When you're doing full force choreography, you can't do that many.
Yeah, I wish, but soon we can.
Right? It's easy to stay. I mean, not disrespecting her, but it's easier to stand on stage for hours and hours when you're just mainly playing instruments and kind of walking around, But when you're doing full on complicated choreography, you can't keep that energy level up and sing for like 4 hours. It's just...
Yeah, I tell you. Although we have done 2 shows in a day, an hour and a half, come back. We have done that, and yeah, that'll catch up with me.
Right. So now talking about two more of my favorite Spinner songs, which also have special sentimentality for me, is the duet that you did with Dionne Warwick, which then came you, and our listeners may remember that Dionne was a guest on our show about 2 years ago. So this is a very special full circle, beautiful moment where I could say that I have both icons on my show on this iconic song.
Yeah, exactly. We do that song as well. Yep, I love that song. And they're up right around that time when we're doing those songs. The audience is on their feet, so they're dancing to that as well.
And then another one of my favorites, I'll Be Around, which was your first, the Spinners' first top 10 hit.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
All right. Can you talk to us a bit, like some behind the scenes reflections of "I'll Be Around," which really that was another one that really just broke the Spinners through to mega hit status on the charts.
Yeah, that's one of the songs that we do uh, a lot of routines to. Yeah, we really worked on that song. There's a lot of routines to that song. But yeah, I do love doing it too as well.
Well, I just wanted to take a moment just to share some personal reflections that why today is so special for me. Not only just because I grew up loving your group and your music, and it's always music I turn to just to feel good. I mean, you can't listen to a Spinner song and be in a negative, bad place. It's like you put a Spinner song on and you're gonna feel great. But the
Right.
but the Spinners was one of my dad's favorite groups, and he loved your
Yeah.
music. And I have lots and lots of memories of us driving around, listening to your songs. And even when he would be in his office and turn his radio on, there's many times there was always a Spinner song playing. And one of the ways that we really bonded was through music. And so it's just really special and meaningful to me to be able to speak with you. And I do feel like my dad's around in spirit, and to also be able to say that two of his favorites, that I'm blessed to have on my show, and just to share the beauty of your music with generations listening who might not know, or, as we have an international audience where we broadcast in South Africa, Pakistan, the Philippines, Cleveland, Atlanta, Philly, about 8 stations in the UK. Yeah, so we truly have an international reach. So I'm really excited for those who weren't raised on this fantastic music to expose it to you for the first time, and hopefully you fall in love with it the way I do. But now when I think about my dad, or I'm missing my dad, oftentimes I'll put on a Spinner song, and I'll think about some of the fun times we had listening to your music. And so now it has a whole nother meaning. So it just really is very special to be able to not only go inside the history of your music from the inside, but just it's very
Yeah.
special the connection that your music had with me and my dad.
We've had similar stories. We always do a meet and greet or something, and we talk with people. Um, and uh, sometimes you can see in the front, and maybe the front 3 or 4 rows. That's basically sometimes as far as you can see. But you see people in tears on certain songs because they have such great memories. You see that,
Mhm.
and you have people come back and they'll talk about um, what they were doing when a certain song, one of the Spinner songs, was out, and some people are just literally be in tears,
Yeah.
because it's such great memories.
And that's the beautiful and powerful thing about music, and especially I feel for, I mean, all music, but they don't call it soul music for nothing because it does really touch your soul, and music stays with you.
Right,
And the beautiful and powerful thing about music is not only does it bring us together when we're here in the physical realm, and sometimes it's how we
right,
work through our emotions, or unifies us, or makes us feel good. But when we pass on, music still connects us. It can be healing, but it's also, as you said, music connects us through memory. So
yeah,
we're never really alone. We're
yeah,
always connected. And I think,
right,
circling back to what we were talking about with the responsibility, when you're in a group that really has a legacy. I think that's also part of the importance of the history of your group, is that really it bridges generations. It's part of people's
right,
stories, their life, and what
right,
kind of the thread that binds them with their loved ones.
right, exactly.
So now, Ronnie, the Spinners have influenced just generations of artists. Who are some of your personal influences?
I have listened to. Um, it was a little before my time, but I love Sam Cooke,
Mm-hmm.
and I love several jazz artists like George Duke, Al Jarreau. I've always followed those guys. Um, just, I knew where they were going,
Mm-hmm.
and I just love the way that they did their music. Um, um, but yeah, those are some of my favorites. Definitely, groups like Incognito. Um, um, even the OJs
Right.
back in the day. I loved a lot of those people, the dramatics, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
singing groups. But
Stylistics.
yeah, I'm stylish. Yeah, a lot of those guys sure did, and I ended up performing with all of them.
Right.
So it's been a blessing.
I mean, it's an amazing feeling when you can work with people you love and that inspire you. And I could say that right here in this moment, that it's just so exciting to be able to speak with you and just to hear your reflections, and get a little glimmer into the iconic life.
Yeah.
So now, what advice would you give? Because the Spinners have been, doing this for decades, and really are leaders within the music industry. So, what advice would
So
you give to up and coming artists of just how to, stay the course in this industry, and kind of, find your own way, and be successful?
one is know the business. Know the business. Now the business has changed. It
Hmm.
should have. I mean, oh wow, it's changed so much since I came up. But I've always believed in, and I've always tell people to always be prepared for anything, because when you prepare yourself, do studio work, do demo songs, um, send songs out, always have your resume up to date and ready,
Hmm.
because people in the music industry don't have patience, believe me.
Right.
But if you're ready. Usually that's when things will happen. If you stay prepared. but always stay fresh.
Right.
With the sounds, the out, the look. Um, I've always just believed in dropping good seeds and just keep going. Because eventually something will, if it's meant for you, it will benefit you. A lot of people get, I guess, upset because things don't happen fast.
Right.
Nothing happens fast.
Amen.
Uh,
Anything worth achieving
I got
takes
started late.
time.
Mm-hmm.
And like they say, so true, preparedness and practice and being ready. So that way, when opportunity knocks, you're ready.
Mm-hmm. Right. And do what you do best. Don't try to do something that you're not good at.
Mm.
It's that to me, you just you're just average. You want to present what you do best, and but someone will see it. Believe me.
And passion takes you a long way.
That's definitely passion and having the heart for it. I mean, invest in yourself and just keep that going.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it going. Keep it going. Yeah.
Well, Ronnie, it has been a delight, honor, and pleasure to have you on the show. We're going to keep it going with some feel good music as we close out the show. And now that I know the deets, I'm going to get Wheels in Motion to be there for your induction. So for our listeners who want to follow you and support you, where can they find you on social media?
Well, I'm on Facebook. I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. So I'm not hard to find.
Right.
Yep, I'm not hard to find at all. So put in my name. You can Google my name. You'll see everything come up. And everything. You can follow me. Follow the spinners.
Yep.
On the spinners is on Facebook. You can follow us. We're everywhere.
Awesome. So follow Ronnie Moss, follow the Spinners, and support. It's been a pleasure, and so we're gonna bop into another musical break as we continue to celebrate the legacy of the Spinners. I have a fantastic and empowered day, and walk in your purpose. And we'll be back with more next week. Bye. All right. So now